And APB, American Protection Bureau, voted #1 best on Long Island for all your security needs. Call 631-390-9050. That's 631-390-9050. APB. M&J Video Games and Collectibles. Sport and non-sport cards, wrestling items, autographed items. We buy, sell, and trade. M&J Video Games and Collectibles, located at 1049 Queen Street, Southington, Connecticut. Call us at 1-860-479-9223 or 860-93-GAMES. M&J Video Games and Collectibles.
Yep. So, Rick, this is the question that I waited for. One of my favorite wrestlers in the '80s was Canada's greatest athlete, Iron Mike Sharp, and I actually wrote a soon-to-be-released story about Mike for the Pro Wrestling Stories website. By all accounts, he was both very unique and very quirky. Did you ever work with him, and do you have any Iron Mike stories?
Well, I tagged with Mike a lot of times. Me and Mike worked a lot together. A lot of shows we would tag. I worked with him against the Rockers a couple of times. I forgot who else we worked against. Maybe Powers of Pain or somebody. But we worked a lot because we were two big guys, and they would put us in with some big guys, to make the matches look better and stuff. So I worked against a ton of big guys. But Mike Sharp, he was a great, great guy. One of the most friendliest, cleanest people you ever want to meet. But he was quirky. He would, take a shower a long time. He was like really, really clean. He'd carry his own toilet paper with him everywhere he went.
Oh, jeez.
He was just, he was way out there. But, I've heard some stories, like Stan Hansen told me a story, like they were in the Omni one night or something or somewhere, and he got locked in an arena. They closed up the arena, I think it was, and he was still in the shower. So they reopened it to get him out because they locked all the doors, and I think an alarm went off. But he got locked in the arena one night because he was still in the shower because he was one of those. But I booked him on a few of my shows. Whenever I would do shows in the tri-state area, I would always try to have Mike Sharp on it, and he would always work for me. And it was just a pleasure to do business with. He would, whatever you'd ask him to do, he would do it. And he was just a friendly kind of guy. I've traveled with him a couple of times, but he was set in his ways. He was, his own guy. And a lot of times he would travel by himself because people were, they didn't want to ride with him.
Oh, geez. And another guy, though, that had a huge pedigree before he came to WWF. When I did the story on him, I did a lot of research, and he had a really good career in the territories. His dad and his uncle were a great tag team in the 50s, the Sharp brothers. I believe his uncle was actually in the Canadian Olympic team. But he was, if you look at, he won titles in Canada. He won, actually beat Killer Khan, I think once or twice for titles when he worked in Mid-South. So he was like over. And when he first came to WWF, they were really giving him kind of a push. And I think he actually wrestled Backlund I believe in the Gardner in Philadelphia in a very competitive title match. But then after that, then it was they gave him that wimp gimmick, and pretty much he just slid right down the card. So, I always enjoyed watching him work. I thought he was great in the ring, but I've heard so many stories about him with, just being, a very peculiar kind of guy. So.
Well, like you said, he was kind of quirky, but he was set in his own ways. He was very family orientated. He took care of his mother in her later years and stuff. And he was another guy that died way too soon. And he wasn't a partier. He wasn't, into any, he didn't have any vices or anything, but he was just set in his own ways. And, we all respected him in the ring. He was a great technician, great hand, and his work was excellent. I don't know why he never got pushed more than he did, but I think his skills on the mic were lacking. That's probably the only reason that they didn't really push him. But they could have put him with a manager or somebody that could have talked for him, Captain Lou or Freddie Blassie or one of those guys at the time. They would have got him over real big, too.
Albano could get over. The only person he couldn't get over was, was it Mighty Joe Young? Mighty Joe Thunder, Big Joe Thunder.
Yeah,
I
right.
think I don't know if you remember, he wrestled in '83. I think he wrestled 4 matches. He was like a big deal like many, many years ago, and I guess he decided to make a comeback, and he wrestled 4 squash matches in 1983, and that was it. And even Albano couldn't get him over. But I know Albano could have gotten Mike Sharp over. But so after WWF, you wrestled briefly in Stampede for Stu, and you actually wrestled Chris Benoit for the Stampede British Commonwealth Mid Heavyweight Championship. So 2 questions. One, what was